I was 27 when it happened. It was one of those humid Chicago nights where the air feels heavier than it should. I had just flown in from visiting my best friend in Denver. A weekend of laughter, hiking trails, and pretending calories didn't exist. By the time my flight touched down at O'Hare, it was 12:10 a.m. The airport was quieter than usual. I walked through the terminal with that half-exhausted, half-zombie feeling you get after a long day of travel. My carry-on wheels rattled across the tile, echoing in the near-empty hall. My phone was at 7% battery, just enough to get home if nothing went wrong. I thought about calling an Uber, but the idea of my phone dying mid-ride made me uneasy, so I headed to the taxi stand instead. That's when I saw it. A white SUV, not the usual yellow cab, rolled slowly to the curb. It had one of those magnetic taxi signs in the windshield, the kind you could stick on or peel off in 2 seconds. The driver leaned over and rolled down his window. "Need a ride?" His voice was low, almost too soft for the noisy street. I gave him my address in the northwest suburbs. $40. "Cash or card, doesn't matter," he said, watching my face for a reaction. It was cheaper than my last Uber from the airport, and at midnight, I wasn't about to be picky. "Okay," I said. He got out, walked to the back, and opened the trunk. "I can take your bag." "That's fine," I replied quickly. "I'll keep it with me." He paused, just for a moment, before smiling and saying, "Makes it easier for a quick getaway." It was meant as a joke, I think, but there was something about the way his eyes lingered on me that made me shift my grip on the handle. Inside, the SUV smelled faintly of cigarette smoke mixed with an artificial sweetness, like a cheap air freshener. The dashboard was messy, receipts, the crumpled fast food bag, and a styrofoam cup in the cup holder. The digital clock read 12:27 a.m. I sat behind the passenger seat, giving me a clear view of his profile in the rearview mirror. He put my address into his phone's GPS, then pulled out of the airport. At first, the conversation was harmless. He asked where I'd been, how long I'd stayed. But a few minutes in, the questions shifted. "You got a boyfriend waiting for you at home?" "Yes," I lied. "He's probably asleep by now." "What's his name?" That question was fast. Too fast. I pretended not to hear him and pulled out my phone, typing a quick text to my roommate. "Hey, I'm in a taxi, white SUV, creepy vibes, sharing my location, battery, 5%. As we drove, I realized we weren't heading for the expressway. Instead, he was taking long, empty side streets, the kind lined with closed strip malls, flickering streetlights, and not a single other car. Isn't the highway faster?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "This way's better at night. Less traffic," he replied without glancing at me. There is no traffic, I thought. The longer we stayed on those side roads, the tighter my chest felt. I kept glancing out the window, mentally noting landmarks, just in case. At one point, we passed a gas station that was still open, its bright fluorescent lights spilling across the empty lot. I wanted to ask him to pull in, but my gut screamed not to alert him that I was nervous. A few blocks later, we stopped at a red light. I decided to act. I put my phone to my ear and spoke loudly, even though no one was on the line. "Hey, yeah, I'm almost at the gas station near our place. You're outside? Okay, I'll meet you there." I wanted him to believe someone was waiting for me. The light turned green, and we drove in silence. Then, 2 blocks later, we passed the gas station without slowing down. That's when my pulse kicked into overdrive. The next intersection had a police SUV parked on the shoulder, lights off. As we rolled toward the stop sign, I wrapped my hand around the door handle. The second the SUV slowed, I pulled it open and stepped out. My bag banged against my leg as I walked quickly toward the cruiser, my eyes fixed on it like a lifeline. Behind me, the driver shouted something muffled through the glass, but I didn't look back. By the time I reached the officer's window, the white SUV was gone, slipping into the darkness without a trace. He didn't care to stop for the money was a red flag itself. I told the cop everything in a voice that shook more than I wanted it to. He offered to drive me home. We pulled onto my street around 1 a.m., and my stomach dropped. At the far end of the block, a white SUV sat parked, engine idling. The moment the cruiser's headlights hit it, the SUV's lights flicked on and it sped away, turning the corner so fast it almost clipped the curb. The officer circled my block twice before letting me out. That night, I double-locked my door, shoved a chair under the knob, and slept in my clothes with my shoes on. For weeks afterward, I checked every parked car on my street before walking to my building. I still don't know if he was a real taxi driver or someone using a fake cab sign, hunting for the right passenger at the wrong hour. I was 28 at the time, living in Phoenix, Arizona. My younger sister, let's call her Trixie, had just graduated from nursing school in San Diego, and the family decided to make a big deal of it. My parents were flying in later in the week, but Trixie had asked if I could come a few days earlier so we could hang out before the chaos of family dinners and photo ops began. It had been years since I'd been to San Diego, so I jumped at the chance. I booked a flight, packed my bags, and landed on a warm Tuesday afternoon, the Pacific breeze greeting me the second I stepped outside. Trixie was still wrapping up her final shifts before graduation day, so I spent my first day solo, exploring the Gaslamp Quarter, walking along the marina, and taking far too many photos of sunsets like some kind of travel influencer wannabe. The next morning, Trixie was free, and we decided to make a full day of it. She wanted to show me Balboa Park, the art museums, and all the hidden gardens tucked away from the main tourist paths. We walked for hours, stopping for coffee, wandering into small galleries, taking pictures under archways. By the time the sun started to dip, my legs felt like they'd been swapped out for 2 lead pipes. We decided to call it a day. Trixie pulled out her phone to order an Uber back to her apartment. I sank onto a bench in the shade, scrolling mindlessly while she handled it. "Got one," she said after a moment. "White Toyota Corolla. Driver's name is Luis. He's 5 minutes away." We chatted idly while waiting. A few minutes later, a white sedan rolled to a stop just a few feet from us. Not in a parking space, just at the curb. The passenger side window was cracked open, and a man inside leaned slightly toward us. "Uber?" he asked, his voice flat. Trixie glanced at me, then at the car, and without hesitation walked over and opened the back door. "Uber for Trixie?" she asked. The man gave a small nod, but didn't speak. I followed her into the back seat, shutting the door behind me. It smelled faintly of stale cigarettes and something metallic, like an old toolbox. Looking back now, I realize how stupid we were. We didn't check the license plate. We didn't confirm the driver's name. We just saw a white car and heard the word Uber and assumed everything was fine. The man put the car in drive immediately. No greeting, no "how's your day going," just silent driving. I found it odd, but I was tired and didn't feel like forcing small talk. We drove for maybe 4 or 5 minutes before Trixie tapped my arm. Her phone screen was in her lap, glowing faintly in the dimming light. She was showing me the map of our ride. The little blue dot, the one representing us, was moving in the opposite direction from the intended route. That's when her phone buzzed. A new notification popped up at the top. "Your Uber driver has arrived." Underneath, A message from Luis. "I'm out front. Where are you?" My stomach dropped. I looked at the man's reflection in the rearview mirror. He was watching the road, his face expressionless, but I noticed his hands gripping the wheel tighter than before. I didn't say anything at first. My mind was racing. I didn't know what his plan was, and I didn't want to escalate too quickly, but I knew we had to get out, fast. Leaning forward slightly, I kept my voice calm. "Hey, we actually need to change our plans. You can just drop us here at the next corner." He didn't respond. Didn't even blink. Just kept driving. Trixie's breathing was quickening beside me. I could feel the tension building in the air. I tried again, this time more firm. "Sir, we're getting out at the next turn. Pull over." Nothing. That's when I felt my own patience snap. I reached into my backpack and pulled out my heavy-duty metal water bottle. I gripped it in both hands, ready to swing if I had to. "I'm telling you right now," I said, my voice low but shaking with adrenaline. "If you don't pull over, this is going to end badly for you." That got a reaction. His eyes flicked up to the mirror, meeting mine. He must have seen that I wasn't bluffing. Without a word, he pulled the car sharply to the curb and hit the door locks. We didn't wait. Trixie shoved her door open, and we bolted. The second we were on the sidewalk, the car sped away, tires squealing. We stood there for a moment, catching our breath. Trixie's hands were trembling as she typed quickly to our actual Uber driver, telling him where to meet us. He arrived within minutes, and the relief I felt seeing the correct license plate was almost overwhelming. The driver, an older guy named Luis, listened quietly as we told him what had happened. Then he sighed and shook his head. "You're lucky," he said. "There have been guys out here pretending to be Uber drivers lately. They wait near tourist spots, pick up people who don't check, and then, well, you don't want to know. Couple people went missing last month." That night, we filed a police report, giving as much detail as we could about the man and the car. We never heard back. I still think about it sometimes. The sound of the door locks clicking, the way he didn't say a single word the entire time. And I think about how easily it could have ended differently if we hadn't caught it when we did. Now, every time I use a rideshare, I triple-check the plate, the driver's name, and the make and model. No exceptions. Because sometimes the person picking you up isn't there to take you home.